Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Managing Content at Scale, and to learn how a leader in Insurer transform multinational operations company with Magnolia DXP can deal with managing the contents for several websites across multiple regions, languages, and platforms as a challenge that is common to a huge number of multinational companies. So before we dive in, we'll be recording this webinar, and the recording will be shared afterwards, and you can consume this content and share it wherever you want. And we also will have a Q&A session at the end, so please feel free to submit your questions at any time using the chat function that you have at Zoom, and we will do our best to address as many as we can to answer your inquiries. First of all, let me introduce the speakers of these sessions. Please, Paula.
Oh, you're muted.
Hi, sorry. Hi, everyone. My name is Paula. I work at BAS as a digital project manager, and I led the management of the Magnolia DXP project, on which the business case we're going to present to you later is based.
Okay, I am Mario Rosalén. I am the Digital Customer Experience Director at BAS too, and it's a pleasure to be here with you to share the insights of this fantastic project.
Yeah, and my name is Jan Schulte. I'm here the head of consulting with Magnolia, almost 12 years in. So I also have the name of the Swiss Army knife of Magnolia. So, for example, I still do a little bit of development. So right now we're pretty busy with the AI accelerator. On the other hand, you will also see me typically in conferences, project onboardings, pitches, and all those things.
Perfect. Here we have a quick overview of what we will be covering today. We will start with an introduction to BAS and Magnolia and see what has happened during our 10 years partnership. And then we will dive into the business perspective through the Paula's insights, examining the initial challenges that this multinational company face and the specific goals they aim to achieve. Next, we will get into the technical solutions implemented with a detailed look at how BAS leverage Magnolia DXP to address some of those challenges. And finally, we will look ahead to the next steps and future improvements with Magnolia's latest capabilities, including AI-powered features with Jan. Okay, just to give you a high-level overview of the relationship that BAS and Magnolia has as partners. We at BAS started the partnership in 2014, and for now, after these 11 years of partnership, we have more than 250 portals developed with the solution for several clients around the world. We have different teams working in the United States, Germany, Spain, United Kingdom, Mexico, and also Switzerland, really close to Magnolia headquarters. And we have, for now, the platinum level partnership with Magnolia, and we have successfully implemented the first Magnolia platform as a service implementation in Spain with our highly certified team, and we are really confident about the future that and the present that Magnolia has as a solution for digital channels building and maintenance. And we are creating a course in our BAS University where we can create new talent and continue the business line that we have together. Okay, let's move on to the business perspective to have a deep knowledge of the case study with Paula.
Okay, so the business case we're presenting is about a big multinational insurance company with a huge number of websites in different languages. Also, they had different owners to align. And the initial situation that we found when we started this spread was that they have a lot of different platforms for those websites, different technology, as you can see, such as HubSpot, Oracle, or WordPress. They have a big lack of clarity regarding the number of the sites they want to be migrated to the new technology. Also, they didn't know the digital asset management structure in terms to serve with the rest of the sites. The roles were poorly defined for all these sites. And also for the one of the technologies, they had a really big dependency, not just for the component structures that doesn't allow to create some specific pages or content, but also for the deployment processes. And a last point is related to the maintenance process, because they couldn't establish or estimate the deadlines to solve the problems that they encountered during the contribution or the editor phases. So we work with this client on the main goals they need to meet, and after the discovery phase, we decide that we need to make more than 60 sites available for the new technology for Magnolia within a very limited time frame. The reason why we need to follow this structure related to the timelines was the license and also the obsolescence of the tool. So after this discovery phase, the business and BAS align on the number of the sites they want to migrate. The first challenge that we faced was the different integration they had on the former platform and the new ones that they want to incorporate in the Magnolia technology. Also, they need to have a new search engine, as they didn't have one before in any of those platforms, and they needed to have it for the users to locate information more easily, and also to filter it. And the security was a really huge challenge, because they needed to enhance the protection measures and improve compliance with industry standards and regulation. Another challenge that we face was to have the ability to customize content in order to tailor messages to each type of users, and we did it using the personalization. The design standardization was something very important for the company to get or to have a cohesive visual identity across all the sites for the brand. And the last one was the change management, as you can imagine, because it's a really big company to align on the owners, on also to communicate to the editors, to train them, communicate deadlines, and so on. So the outcomes after this project was basically the project objectives regarding the ones that I mentioned before in the previous slides, regarding the timelines, the security, the standardization of the company size were successfully achieved, and now the new platform is based on unified content management. Okay, that means that editors can take advantage from unified content management, and they can use not just the digital asset management structure that I mentioned before, but also some features out of the box in Magnolia, some functionalities that are very useful for the editors. Also, the component building approach, that means that they have the flexibility to build pages thanks to a wide range of components. They have this flexibility to meet the needs for any of the sites. And also content custom features. That means that we could also add some features that weren't included by the native Magnolia capabilities, but also we could add some of them to cover some needs that they really need to have, such as sharing content between all these sites, and dynamic content also to improve the maintenance and the addition of this content. And as I mentioned before, they didn't have a really established or aligned structure related to the roles and workflow. So we customize based on the needs, so they can now monitor and control in a better way all the sites related to this topic. Also, a really big one, that was the integration. We could not just add the ones that they have it before and they needed. For example, the marketing automation platform they had that you will see during the technology, the technology perspective, but also we include some features that it's really useful for the editor. For example, translation features that they find it really useful to share with to use it for the rest of the content. And the last one, that is the deployment. We could establish and unify and structure a deployment process, ensuring faster and more control releases.
Okay, thanks a lot, Paula. Now we will focus a bit more technically on how we tackle some of these business challenges to give you a starting point to make you think about how to face situations like this in the future in your cases. So Paula was talking about the needs that this company had related to the search functionality, and in this case, what we phase during the discovery phase is that they needed something more than the standard out-of-the-box search capabilities that Magnolia was offering. And in this case, thanks to the Magnolia modular architecture, we could integrate in a very easy way ElasticSearch in the Azure cloud platform the client has. And this solution provides us 2 points of view of the search: the local search for the local sites, and also the global search for the global sites of this company, where you can find content through all the network of sites when you are navigating in the corporate global sites, and when you are navigating in the local site, you can find the local content. This is really useful, and it enhances the searchability of the contents and the way to provide the best contents for the users. Another one that was really important was all the needs that this multinational landscape with several languages and several countries, some countries with different languages, like for example Belgium, we faced the need that we needed not only to have the URL translated to a specific language, also we will have to create a module over the core of Magnolia that let us translate the URLs, the same URL for different the same page for different countries with different URLs and also with the content translated. And thanks to the flexible architecture of Magnolia, we have been doing this in a very simple way, despite the fact we needed to develop something over the core, but it works perfectly and now matches all the needs of the business. And something important also highlighted by Paula previously on the business requirements, we discovered that in the different geographies, they were using different tools for marketing automation, depending on the region or maybe on the country needs. And we faced the situation to integrate HubSpot, Pardot, and Eloqua. And thanks to Magnolia's API first approach, we have do it really in a really easy way and really fast without having to spend effort on these integrations, and this led the business units to have synchronized information between the technical platform and the business and marketing platforms. And here, the paradigm where Magnolia is built is really helpful for us. Moving on to more challenges, another one also mentioned previously was the need to include a tool that can give more speed to the translation and content contribution for the different countries and languages, considering at first all the common contents that needs to be translated to all the different geographies and in the different languages. And in this case, we have been helped by Magnolia's AI accelerator and also with the integration with DeepL that comes out of the box directly with the product. We will go deeper later, probably with Jan. He can give you more insights about this. But with this integration of Magnolia AI accelerator and DeepL, the velocity that we can have in the translation workflows is really good and improves the state of the art of the previous landscape. Okay. And we will go deeper with this later. Because for now, Magnolia has some improvements that could be very useful for us a year previous now, but the reality that we face the migration in this case of a huge number of pages and sites, and we did it automatically using the APIs of the former platform, extracting the content using the APIs and injecting the content into Magnolia database using the Magnolia APIs too, for the more structured content. And then we needed, of course, to do some manual migration in some cases, for example, to create the home pages and more distributive pages with several modules and content. And we also tackle this thing with DeepL integration to be faster in the adapting the manual contributed contents, and was a really good strategy to migrate from HubSpot and Oracle to be helped by this. Okay. And also, we have faced during the migration of this project also a new design of the sites, a new, like almost a new rebranding of the company, because they were moving from a very static, very minimalistic design to a more dynamic, more modern design, where we faced a real challenge because we needed to create very dynamic components with a very specific front end. And we did it really right because we work rightly with the integration of Figma and Magnolia to create the components fastly. And also we have faced another challenge, including Vue.js application that was developed by another provider that has been included into the Magnolia environment. And what we have to for that case is we have created a way to update the contents that are reflected by this application using the database of Magnolia in this case. Really good approach. So always thankfully to the open architecture that Magnolia give us for this kind of challenges. The two last challenges that we will describe for now are one of them is a very common situation that the authors are facing when they are dealing with images and multimedia content, when you are using photographs with people, and once they need to be adapted to different viewports, sometimes you are cutting the head of somebody, or maybe the body of somebody, or maybe missing the focal point of the images. And in this case, we have been also using the Magnolia DXP focal point module that let us bring to the authors a tool to be more agile in the content creation, and also reduce the issues, and of course avoid the intervention of graphic designers to modify the different image adaptations in these processes. Let us be more fast. And the last one is of course related with the platform. In this case, this client wanted to keep their cloud infrastructure and doesn't want to use the Magnolia PaaS. That could be also a good option, but they decided to go ahead with their private cloud on Azure. And the situation here was just to do something similar to what Magnolia is trying to do in the past, but in this case, adapting to the infrastructure that the client was providing to us. So we deployed, we have been deployed Magnolia with Docker containers. We are, of course, taking advantage of all the load balancing and auto-scaling features that Microsoft Azure provides, and also to be available to support the high volume of visits that as a consequence of the migration and the marketing campaigns that the company has launched on several networks. We have implemented a CDN strategy, and also combined with Nginx working as a reverse proxy in order to avoid the direct access to database with a huge number of visits. And we have monitored this with the monitor tools that Microsoft Azure is providing. And despite the huge number of sites migrated and the high volume of traffic, we have passed this test. Wasn't easy, but we have passed this test and we have tuned the configuration in the way that let us move in the way that we need. So, and now we are in a point that we will need to take some advantage of the new capabilities that Magnolia is offering to us, and nobody better than Jan Schulte to tell us about these new capabilities and these new improvements where we can rely to go further with this client, and also to put in place for any other cases that we can create. Okay, it's all yours, Jan.
It's all mine. Okay, cool. Obviously, AI is changing the digital landscape everywhere, not only in CMS or DXP systems. I think there's probably nothing that is untouched by AI at all. I mean, if you look at the capabilities, typically there's almost a doubling every 6 or 7 months, and therefore it's even clear that it becomes even more important in the future. And this is why we focus quite a bit on AI with our AI Accelerator program. What it does primarily is just it helps you to speed up content generation or creation with AI. That means it's now much easier to create parts of the content that is really on brand, or the tone of voice is completely correct, and it's also generating factual content based on your core data. Image generation made huge leaps compared to, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that still DALL-E could generate some images, and it was crazy. A machine could generate images, but you could not use those because it was, you could see and almost taste that there was AI in it, and texts were virtually impossible. That changed quite a bit with the new advent of Sora and also with Flux AI. And because of this, we have now a top-notch image generator, or also image editor, both. So you can just take existing images, change backgrounds and so on, change the images, introduce texts and so on. So that should help to create much more high-quality images that are really specific to your products and services. Content optimization is something where AI can make a huge difference. So everybody knows it. Metadata for search, it's highly relevant, yet nobody really likes to do it. Turns out AI is really excellent at this. The same thing with content classification. Have all those images directly tagged so you can just find them much, much faster. And the same thing goes for content by itself. Personalization, it's a pretty interesting story from my point of view, because in the full industry, we speak about since I'm with it, like since 12 years, about personalization, hyper-personalization. And technically speaking, identifying a segment and then just serving personalized content, this is solved since a long while. Yet, in reality, the only thing that we have seen at a broader scale were really content recommenders. So in the style of people that bought this also are interested in that. But the bottleneck was clearly the human factor. It was completely impossible to produce content for 5 different segments, because effectively you're just 5xing your efforts and no content team is able to pull that off. And again, turns out that AI is really excellent in creating those personalized experiences that can be then produced and served at scale. And also translations are now a complete different beast compared to what it was even 2 or 2.5 years ago. I mean, also here, everybody knows that there was Microsoft Translate and there was Google Translate, and you could kind of grasp what the initial intent of this content was, but it was not even near to be production ready. And DeepL already made great strides if it comes to content, to translations. So all these standard languages like German, Spanish, French, and so on, those can be translated at great quality, especially if you have your, this is something that is overlooked, never forget this, especially if you have your dictionaries right, because there are always certain terms that should not be translated or should be translated in special terms. But yeah, if you have those two combined ready, then DeepL is a pretty good match to create perfect translations. There were always 2 outliers, Chinese and Japanese, that did not work so well. Well, with the advent with ChatGPT, even those are now at an almost human level. Okay, in the end, so what's in the box? What does AI really bring you? Clearly, it helps you to produce better experiences much faster. We spoke about personalization, which leads to greater engagements and therefore also in better results, clearly. So you just get this higher conversion rate. And that also comes down to this relevant experiences. I mean, one size fits all, it's good, but just imagine a travel client. If you search for a tour or anything like this, and you are in the segment that you look for a tour with, let's say, young families, and suddenly you get really the description that is really relevant for you, that makes a big difference. Again, personalization is one of the low-hanging fruits where AI can really change the game. The next one, this is, whoa. If you just hop one back, sorry. One slide back again. Okay, cool. This analyze and optimize bit, this is interesting. We spoke about SEO metadata optimization, but where we are really heading to is just using also analytical data. So you can automatically generate full-on, let's say, reports about how the actual user journey works, and you can automatically pinpoint bottlenecks, and in a not so distant future, then also start to automatically schedule ABN tests to undo those bottlenecks and automate your content performance. And yeah, Mario just mentioned it on the next slide. Also, migrations become much, much, much easier. Back in the days, migrating content, especially if you're dealing with those hundreds of thousands of pages, required typically a lot of scripting and a lot of fiddling to really get it right. And there was always a lot of things that have to be done manual. And again, here, AI is clearly making a big, big difference. So what we're also introducing is this migration accelerator that allows you to automatically scrape HTML or even deliver core content from other systems, and automatically migrate your assets and then map this to Magnolia. So you can basically take this content over without running those huge hoops where you have basically all those migration scripts and all those tests. So migrations become much faster and easier thanks to AI. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jan. I have a question regarding this AI content migration accelerator. This goes far away from web scraping and extracting the content. It do something with the AI, and in this case, what is doing the AI that you can tell us that you're using it for?
Yeah. Basically what it does in the first step, so let's say you don't have direct access to your content database, it just extracts all this content, but obviously this content has to be mapped to the data structure that is expected by Magnolia's pages and components. And AI nowadays is really, really good at reasoning. So it understands the deeper meaning of the actual content structure and is automatically transforming that towards Magnolia's content structure. And therefore, all those big scripts with loops and if then, do this, do that, that's basically all automated away by AI. So you don't write this code for all those transformations explicitly. AI just does a job for you. And therefore, you can really just, in a case where you just have your content public, just basically serve your site XML. It will automatically identify all the different pages. It will extract that content. It will create the content in Magnolia. It will also take the assets, upload those to Magnolia. You get this UUID, so basically the number plate of this asset, and then that will be also automatically injected in the content. So you get basically your content plus the assets removed in one go, which is huge compared to all the manual work that was always involved since CMS exists.
Thank you for the info. Do you have any KPI regarding did this twice faster or maybe 1.5 times faster or something like this?
I mean, it highly depends, because we just only speak about a pure play content migration. If you look at a migration, still you have to deal with all the configuration of the system with the templates and so on. And typically the migration bit, depending on the size of the project, is something around 30% roughly in a project, más o menos. And those 30%, I would say you can maybe expect 10% of the efforts compared what you had before, if you look at only at the task of content migrations. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously not where it stops. If you look at tools like Windsurf that use AI heavily, then also those template migrations are really, at least from what I've seen, at least 50% faster. I was just doing this with a sample project from a market leader, and it took me around a day to fully migrate this project. I mean, sure, it was just a banking demo site, but yet it's really fascinating to see that you can just take configurations from a complete different system that has nothing to do with Magnolia. And then once you have your prompts in the background of the context right, that it's basically a one-shot. It just takes this complex dialogue definition and just moves it over to Magnolia, and it just works. And yeah, also taking, let's say, a Angular implementation and transform this into a React application is no much faster to AI. So
really nice. And when you are expecting to make this available to everyone?
Well, I mean, the migration accelerator,
Yeah.
the content migration accelerator, this is available right now.
Yeah.
And if it comes to the migration process from system A to B, then it's really about using standard tools like Windsurf. Those, it's basically my tool of choice. And yeah, it's really all about the system prompts that you have in the background. So what's one of the fundamentals about AI, in no matter where you look at, it's always everything's about context. So you really have to be very specific in your system prompts. So the system A, this is a system B, those are best practices. This is what I expect after every commit, run your unit tests, and so on. There's just basically two handful of best practices. Once you have those in place, those migrations become much faster. So yeah, it's not only content is changing, also software development is changing at a
Totally.
rapid pace.
Yeah, really interesting. I don't see any questions on the chat. I don't know if you want to raise your hand or whatever to ask a question, or if you don't have any questions, we can end this.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, yeah. As you can see, Jan is really hungry to answer, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it seems that no one wants to ask anything, so let's move on. And
oh, there's someone.
There's someone.
What about AI agents? Yep, exactly. Well, basically, we just released, I think that was last Wednesday, the latest version of the AI accelerator, and that basically lays out the foundation for AI agents. So one of the major innovations is that you can now basically connect any LLM. At the beginning, we were just focused on ChatGPT because ChatGPT was clearly the king of the hill for 1.5 years or so. But that's changing quite a bit. So we get now more and more requests also for Gemini or public institutions that want to run their own LLMs. DeepSeek was obviously some kind of shock moment when it turns out that you can really run absolutely high quality LLMs in your own data center. And therefore we did two things. First of all, we opened everything up to any LLM, so also custom trained ones. And the second one basically is that we also move the calling of the AI towards a Magnolia backend. And this is basically the foundation for AI agents. So you can already run external agents, but we will come up with a pretty strong agent framework in the next release. We also laid already the foundation for the orchestration of all those different agents with Magnolia Orchestrate. I mean, on the outside, it looks like a content calendar, but obviously, this is the platform to plan your tasks for AI agents. So yeah, we are more than aware. We are working heavily on it, and we are pretty close to releasing those.
It was really interesting to this evolution of the AI interconnection with Magnolia. Really nice. Really nice.
There's a second one that's incoming. So what kind of advice would you give to organizations preparing for a similar platform shift? Well, I mean, my first advice is excellent target platform is obviously Magnolia.
First of all.
Exactly, most important. Second one clearly is, I mean, even if AI is doubling its capabilities every 7 months, proper planning is still absolutely key. You need your inventory, you know exactly what you're doing. So it's really still about a planning process. Right now, what AI can do is can just speed up certain things in the migration journey. So I'm just speaking from the technical standpoint. So that is something that cannot be neglected. And another thing, it's also about strategic planning towards the future. What will be my goals in the next 2 years? Typically, you don't want to copy the status quo just to a new platform. You want to also gain efficiency and so on. And again, here, I would really start also to think in the direction of agentic workflows and so on. What are the things that I cannot do right now and that I will probably able to pull off like in half a year or so that you're really prepared and that you can start to have then this hyper-targeted personalized platform that allows you to basically change to whatever the future will bring. Because as I said, AI is going to change content, programming, and it will also change business for sure. And therefore, right now, it's also the time to basically plan to this direction and have a platform that basically allows you to adopt quickly, because those changes will be much faster than most people anticipate.
And also to complement the answer, in the case of a platform shift like the one we have been talking about, for us was fundamental the time invested and the money invested by the client on the discovery phase, because it is really important to see what do you have, where do you want to go, and to have this good planning that Jan was talking about. Because if you start to do all the migration process without thinking it slowly and putting everything over the table and having a real good discovery phase, you cannot do it with success for sure. I don't know, Paula, if you have any feedback from your business perspective.
Yeah, from my side, I just want to add, well, the same message that you just said related to the discovery phase. I think that phase is always like, okay, we are not working, but for me, it's the more important, the most important one, because it's the one that where you will define how your project will be. So for me, a big task that we need to do with this specific client, and I think with all of them, is to try to collect all the insights they need, because they know the former platform or other technologies. So to translate the needs they have and other things they want to implement in the new technology, to try to take advantage of the features that in this case Magnolia has, to solve them in a better way and in a faster way. So yeah, very important, the analysis phase or discovery phase.
Okay. Anything else? I don't know if we will have any questions from LinkedIn, but we are live there too. Oh, no hands raised. Okay, so let's finish this webinar, giving you thanks to assist and for your attention. And I hope this session opened your minds in order to start and to face challenges like this in your companies. And really happy to help you from BAS side and also from Magnolia side, for sure, to tackle all the challenges you have over the table. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
VAS, complex made simple.